Attorneys for Columbia University graduate and anti-Israel fanatic Mahmoud Khalil had until today to seek a waiver to stop his deportation. This after a Louisiana immigration judge found he can be kicked out of the United States as a national security risk.
But it seems he's got friends in not so high places. A delegation of congressional Democrats led by Troy Carter visited Louisiana's ICE facilities yesterday where, Khalil is detained to demand his release while inspecting conditions there. It marks the first time lawmakers met him while in custody. They had this to say.
This is not immigration enforcement. This is like stifling dissent. This is repression. This is authoritarianism.
Mahmoud and Ramisa are political prisoners.
She was abducted, kidnapped in broad daylight. This could be you for practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion. This could be you for reading a banned book.
No. Moments ago, President Trump signing an executive order in the Oval Office to overhaul the higher education accreditation system, prohibiting accreditors from participating in unlawful diversity, equity, and inclusion discrimination and ideological overreach. It's another tool in his belt, our belt, to restore trust in universities which have been completely obliterated.
Thanks to Ivy Leagues like Yale, where another Hamas-sympathizing encampment emerged on its campus last night, pro-Palestinian radicals boxing out Jewish students in their so-called Zionist exclusion zone. Yale denouncing the encampment today, but it's a bad look amid its funding fight with the administration, especially as the school reportedly sells off a major chunk of its private equity portfolio, $6 billion worth.
And to think all this drama could be avoided if universities simply put an end to rampant anti-Semitism, which is on the rise by a staggering amount. The Anti-Defamation League out with a new report putting it in perspective. Last year alone, there were nearly 10,000 anti-Semitic incidents in America. That boils down to an average of 1 per hour. Insanity.
That is insanity. Of those incidents, 1,694 took place on college and university campuses, which is 84% higher than 2023. Education Secretary Linda McMahon last night making it clear the administration will not be tolerating this hate.
The president ran on anti-Semitism on campuses. He said he wasn't going to stand for it. We saw what happened at Columbia. I mean, you cannot have students locking up other students in libraries and beating on glass windows and saying death to Israel and death to USA. And this has been tried to be portrayed as, a First Amendment right. And that is absolutely not what this is about. This is a civil rights issue.
Joining us now to react, former RNC national spokesperson Elizabeth Pipko. Elizabeth, these universities are indoctrination factories, indoctrinating children who go to school there into these hate cults. That's where it begins. It didn't begin at home. They are largely responsible. They're taught this hatred of the Jews and hatred of Israel.
They are, and I want to add, they're also taught hatred of America. Those two things, they go together very often. At these rallies, which are basically anti-Semitic rallies, you very often see them burning American flags with the Israeli flag. You don't really see them waving proudly that American flag. So I hope people remember that they go together. And I also want to point out, you mentioned the ADL report. That number from last year, nearly 10,000, that was the largest number on record since the ADL began tracking these incidents in 1979. That is how much these instances are going up. That's how much anti-Semitism is on the rise. And it's happening in 2025 in America when our country is trying to be as progressive as possible and fight racism wherever we can, but apparently going backwards when it comes to anti-Semitism or any hatred for Jewish people.
Elizabeth, I'm not going to lie. I was shocked. I've been shocked by the anti-Semitism that we've seen, particularly when you look at some of those numbers we had mentioned after October 7th. Have you been surprised by what you've seen?
I don't think I've been surprised by the anti-Semitism. I've been surprised by the reaction, right? So we're talking about the Democratic leadership that you just pointed out that is going to visit this student who doesn't stand for anything that they claim to stand for, right? He doesn't stand for any of our American values, and they take the time to tell the world that they align with him. It's just like Democrats who travel to meet with MS-13 members. Apparently they want people to know they don't align with our American values. So I think the reaction is the real problem. You have to educate people and show them where you stand and take a stance when people are getting hurt. And when thousands of Jewish students, and I know that because I've seen the messages, when thousands of Jewish students are reaching out to their leadership, begging for help, and this is how they respond, that's the part that I think is the most shocking.
These are the people, the left, the Democrats, who have cried to the heavens about the Nazis in the Republican Party taking over. And it's always, they always accuse others of being what they are. They always accuse others of doing what they are doing. And I think that speaks to the, he's Hitler, they're Nazis. There you go. I mean, who's anti-Semitic? The left, the Democrats. They foment it and they tolerate it. Now, on to this. Despite what the liberal media will have you believe, a new Fox News poll shows only 4% of Trump voters wish they voted differently in 2024. 4%. 89% A-OK with their vote. Elizabeth?
I mean, are we surprised? It just shows people how out of touch the media very often is, and that you can't believe every headline that you see. Because the fact is, people would love to convince their readership that Donald Trump is unpopular, when in fact he's more popular than he's ever been since launching a career in politics back in 2015. The fact is, all they do is lie. Like you said, they accuse others of what they are actually very much guilty of. They accuse Donald Trump of being a Nazi. Now, who's standing up for Jewish students? Donald Trump. The same thing is here. People are very happy with their choice, and they're going to continue to be very happy for the next 4 years.
Why do you think, so President Trump was able to increase his numbers with both Muslim voters as well as with Jewish voters as well.